nobody that has a pancreas working should even be eating that many. So we know that if your pancreas isn't working and you eat that many amount of fruit snacks, what is going to happen to your body? You went into DKA, and we went to the hospital, and he was almost in the ICU. They was just so crowded that day because it was flu season as well, that they had to treat him down in a regular emergency room. But that's probably the most mad that I've ever been at you, because you know better. Like, that was crazy. And I mean, I love my son to death. I'm going to go to the hospital however many times we got to go to the hospital. But it was just crazy to be at the hospital all night long for something you could have avoided. Oh my goodness! So that answers the question. I don't even want to think about it no more.
I knew it was gonna be that. But yeah, my next one was, I'm sorry for all the diabetic questions. I don't really.
No, it's okay.
All right, so this is my second one. I have 3. The second one: does it feel any different now than it did in 2017 January till now when I got diagnosed? Like.
Yeah, it's majorly different now. I'm sorry, I don't even know if that's a word, majorly, but it's a major difference now. Let me rephrase it. And it's because you've grown a lot. Like, you've grown a lot and I've grown a lot with dealing with the type 1 diabetes, because when you first got diagnosed, we didn't really have a clue as to what to do. It's a lot of trial and error, and it's a lot of trying to make sure that we do everything right. And a lot of times in the beginning, we both was feeling so bad and so guilty when things wasn't going right. And we didn't really understand that sometimes your sugar will be high for no reason. Sometimes it'll be low for no reason. But we just thought it was always something we were doing wrong. So it was like I took a lot of blame for a lot of stuff. And then I was like, just angry at God in the beginning. Like, why did this have to happen? And then, as I grew with him, I realized that sometimes, we will have certain illnesses or we'll have certain things happen to us for a good reason. God wants us to be closer to him. We don't never understand why God does the things that he does, but there's always a reason. And now that you have created this clothing line, that's one of the reasons why we had to go through this, is because we're going to be helping other people. The shirts that you have came up with are very creative. They are very just stylish and nice. Like, when I was trying to look for stuff for you, I couldn't find shirts that were really nice. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be happy and smiling putting on those shirts, because they make you feel confident with dealing with what you have to deal with. And then now you're just better. You're so much better. Like, it's a lot of things that I don't really have to remind you anymore. Like, Zay, did you check your sugar? Zay, did you do this? Did you do your insulin? You're doing all these things that you're supposed to do on your own. So it's like, it's a whole lot better. And yes, like you said earlier, there are times where you probably feel like you're not doing your best, because you do slip up sometimes. But for the most part, I feel like you're doing a whole lot better than you used to do.
Me too. All right, my third question: is it hard keeping up with like all the diabetes stuff now than it was back then too? Because I'm just trying to compare everything, because I feel like of course we're doing way better than 3 years, but like, is it hard keeping up with stuff now than it is then?
No, it's a whole lot easier now to keep up with this stuff, because back then I really didn't know how often I was going to have to go to the pharmacy. I never thought about it. It was like, I knew that you needed stuff forever. I knew you was going to need to take this insulin forever. But something never clicked and said, you're going to have to, when you run out, you got to have this stuff already ordered so that you don't run out. And then I used to get angry at you for not telling me when you ran out of stuff, but I was putting a lot of responsibility on you back then, and that was just too much to kind of remember, because you already had a lot of other stuff to deal with. So I want to apologize to you publicly for that, because that was a lot for you at 14 years old to kind of remember to do all this stuff. It was like you had 14 years without it, so trying to remember how to do all this stuff with it, it was just crazy, because it was just like, okay, I already forget little stuff now. Now I got to remember all this extra stuff. I got to remember to always have my meter.
Yeah, stuff to keep me alive.
Yes, I got to remember all this stuff. So it was definitely really, really hard back then. And like I said, I do owe you an apology for that, because you didn't know, just like I didn't know. So it was like we were learning it together. And then once you realize, like, I got to tell my mother when I'm running out of stuff, now you on point. I don't never have to be like, Zay, why would you wait to the last minute? Remember how I used to say that? You wait to the last minute to tell me stuff is low. Now it's like, you be like, Mom, I'm on my last this. I need you to, go ahead and put the order in because we on our last whatever. Or it look like I'm running low on alcohol pads or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot of essentials that you have to have that other people that don't have diabetes at your age have. They don't have to have all this stuff. You got to have all this stuff with you at all times. So just that's all. One
more thing to back to who motivated me. Shout out to my April too, because she's like my second mom. Like when you not around, I'm at her house. I was telling my mom a story. Like she think I can't eat like a normal person. Still, I can still eat like a normal person, but she don't be getting that. So whenever it's a good thing. This story. Like if I'm at it, one time it was some morning time and I had stayed at her house because I think my mom went out of town or something. It was like when you went to Atlanta or something. Yeah. And then I was about to eat cereal because my sugar was like 120 something, 130 something. And that's rare for me if y'all know me. So not now, but it was. So then I'm like, I'm pouring some, I forgot, was it like chocolate cocoa, something like that. And everywhere just woke up, she was like, Zay, you're not supposed to be eating that. And I was like, but my sugar was 125. And she was like, you still not supposed to be eating that. But I ain't never say nothing back because that would have been, talking back basically. So I just went and ate the Cheerios with no sugar or anything. And yeah.
Yeah, I find that very funny though, because a lot of the family, like my mom and my husband and my sisters and stuff, they don't really understand everything about this type 1 diabetes. They know a lot from me teaching them and Zay teaching them, but it's still some things that they don't know. And like whenever he's with them, they always ask me like, well, what can he eat? And the thing about it is with the type 1 diabetes, because he's covered with insulin all 24 hours of the day, he takes 2 shots, 1 in the morning and 1 for dinner. He can pretty much eat whatever he wants to eat, but he just has to make sure that he does not miss any insulin dosages and that he counts his carbs. So a lot of times, he knows this when he's with them, that he can have certain things, but they don't always know. And so they'll call me and be like, well, what can he have? What should he eat? And I'll be like, y'all can get him whatever, because he's going, as long as his sugar is not really, really sky high. If it's over 180, then you need to try to do something to bring it down first before you can, eat a whole bunch of carbs and things like that. Because it's not really the sugar that brings up his blood glucose level. It's more so the carbs. The carbs is like breads and the salt, the pastas and the rice and all that kind of stuff. And we know that carbs is in a lot of different things. It's like no way around carbs. So that's why they allow you to eat carbs, but you just have to make sure that you're counting the carbs, because he can only have a certain amount at each time. But then you got to keep in mind that the boy's 17 and he's growing. So I try to keep in mind that he's going to be hungry. So I try to keep a lot of snacks that are low carb and stuff like that, so that he can always eat when he gets hungry. But that's pretty much how this stuff works, and it's been amazing to see both of us grow the way that we have, Zay, honestly, because it was rough in the beginning. Yep. Got one more thing?
One more question. You probably won't remember this though. It was like before 2017. It was diabetic related though. It was rare. So remember when we was living with our April, and I was drinking like the 20 packs of waters by myself at night.
24 packs.
The whole pack, like 2 of those in a night, and I'm just like, what is wrong with me? And my tongue was white and I was dehydrated, and you thought I was doing something when I'm sick. We didn't know what it was. I'm thinking it's the flu, but it was way worse than the flu. Then when we moved to our own apartment, it got a little better. And then I threw up 4 times the day that we went to the hospital and got diagnosed. And I was like, what could it be? And we went there and then they said I had diabetes. I didn't even know what that meant. And then look at us. I didn't even know what it meant though. He was like, they said you got diabetes, eh? And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Can't I just work out to get that to go away? I heard about it. Don't Nana got that? You was like, yeah, but no, it's the one where you have it forever. And I didn't hear you say that. And then when we went on that vacation with Granddad like 2 years ago, 2018, and I heard you say it, I was like, wait, so I can't work it out? And she was like, nah, and I just cried. I didn't even know.
Yeah, that was a tough day for both of us, because I thought you knew. And I was like, you can't get rid of it. And you just looked at me and bust out crying. And I felt so bad. I felt extremely bad, because it was like absolutely nothing that I could do about, what was going on at that moment. All I could do is just pray and ask God, how can I be a good mother? How can I be the mother to Zay that he needs me to be? Because each child is different. You have some children that, you mother them one way, then you have another child, you have to mother them differently. And one thing I don't want to do is ever make you feel bad, about what you have, or, any of that kind of stuff. So I be praying all the time, like, God, show me what to do and what to say and all of that. So that's probably why our relationship is the way that it is. It's so good because, I pray, and then I try to, even if I say something wrong, I try to come back and apologize and stuff like that, because I don't really know. It's like nobody really knows what you're feeling. You know what I mean? Except for you. And like they were saying at church that week when we went, about when you minimize things or whatever, sometimes I was doing that and not even realizing. Like if you say, well, I wish I could, I'm like, well, people don't need that anyway. Like you don't need no snacks anyway. That's minimizing how you feel. You really feel like you want to eat this stuff. And so instead of me minimizing it or making you feel like, oh well, get over it type thing, it's now I'm learning how to say things or how to reword things or to make you feel comfortable. So I really had a nice, fun time today with you, Zay. Thank you for being a guest on the podcast, and I gotta have you back. But before we go, I'm definitely going to tell everybody that they need to follow you on your Instagram clothing line page, which is Inspired Clothing by Zay. Check them out on Instagram. We have not launched yet, but there is a website. It's done, but I just have to make sure everything else is in place. This is a real business, so got to make sure things are being handled the correct way. But again, follow him on Instagram at Inspired Clothing by Zay. Thank y'all for listening. I hope that you all are safe out there. I pray that you are not stressing or frustrated or letting anxiety get the best of you. Just always remember that God is still God, no matter what is going on in the world right now. Things are not what we want them to be, but sometimes things are necessary. Just take this time to continue to grow your relationship with God. Keep praying. If you're writing a book, finish writing that book. If it's some things you got to do around the house, take this time to do those things instead of complaining or being scared. Just pray to God for protection and continue to do the things that you've been doing. I love you all. Until next time, have a good one.